Shut up!
People born by freedom won, yet held in precarious station. Set upon defense and sealed his will to guard and protect his new nation. So he resolved to find of all who would challenge his right to be free. With a swift-sailing vessel and 10 carriage guns to hunt the world's oceans and seas. Born to go into harm's way, come all ye hell or high waters be damned. No lightning, no thunder, nor hurricane hail can stand in the face of his wrath. Be beneath his enemy's sleep, like cloud where the gates cannot grow. The life and rise, every last man shall shake to the core of his soul. For submerged operation by OpSCAD 48 Tech 18, Department of myself. Sounding is 1385 fathoms beneath the keel and checks with chart. I am verifying that my course team is ready to disrupt the ship. My team is supposed to ship one out of my field. Time! The zone to be, from my yin to my yang to my yang to Z. Put a grin on my cheek, come to me, cause I'll win. I'm one of a kind and I'll bring death to the place you're about to be. Another river of blood running under my feet. Forging a fire lit long ago. Stand next to me, you'll never stand alone. I'm last to leave, but the first to go. Lord, underway's the only way I know. I feed on the fear of the devil inside of the enemy's faces in my sight. Aim with a hand, shoot with a mind. Kill with a heart like Arctic ice.
I am the Leviathan and death is my call.
I am the Leviathan, death is my call.
I am a warrior and this is my song.
Oh, man. I'll never get tired of that intro, ever. I'll never get tired of that shit. That is like the best fucking intro ever. A number of people have complained about the length of it, that it's too long. And somebody quite intelligently and observantly indicated if you can't sit through a 4 or 5 minute awesome motivating intro on a podcast, you're not going to be able to listen to Cash Jackson for 2 or 3 hours, right? And man, they were right. I do. Why would I not like that? It's like driving a race car, CJ. Like CJ developed this thing, and I'm gonna, it's still, for me, it's like a brand new car. Every time I come on the show, and that it's fantastic. Look, we're searching for that identity for number one, this podcast, War is Hell, as well as the development and identity of the Veteran Liberty Network. And it's what I call grunge journalism, right? It's from citizen journalists like myself, like CJ, Frank, Tony, and others that are on the streets, and we're learning what's happening inside our federal branch, our state, our local, but really on that local level, right? That's really where we get into business, is the discussion and the network on a local level. Okay. That network is developing, and it's directly linked to my Patreon account. Okay. That network is and will be the platform and the location for citizen journalists that want to be a part of this network. Because it's called Veteran Liberty Network, that does not mean that you're not welcome as a citizen journalist into this endeavor. We believe that you have value, you've got wisdom, you've got knowledge. You offer a lot to the world, and you can offer so much more through a network of like-minded men and women that we don't agree with the far political left or the far political right. We're much more liberty-minded, middle-of-the-road, common sense, cognizant people of today's affairs and how they're impacting us and our families and how we want to change it. And it's because of people like Chelsea. Chelsea's been supporting me for a long time now. And I got to see as her daughter went on off into the Air Force and went into the security forces, much like what Marina did. And to see her family grow and them move forward as a family. And they have supported me and my family, or my family and I want to get proper here. But I have grown a lot. I've learned a lot. I've matured a lot. Clearly, I'm getting older, right? I'm not I'm not quite the piss and vinegar I was in 2016, right? I'm just a saltier version of that piss and vinegar in 2016. So a lot of you you're tuning in on a regular, and I appreciate that. Dear God, do I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you sharing and helping me to do this. We're trying to find a rhythm here, okay? We're trying to get up a consistency, and like anything else for me in life, the more I do this, the more we work at it, the more CJ helps me and we produce, and he comes on. It's like he's not on the clock right now. CJ is only on the clock Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, beginning at 8 a.m. until he has to leave to go and produce some other shows. So that's the only time I have CJ. And with a producer like him, it's able to elevate and improve upon the product that we need, which is the conversation piece between the working class. Just this morning, if you weren't on the broadcast this morning, I had 2 guys from the United Kingdom on the show. 2 guys from the UK onto the show, and we had some really lively, interesting discussion about police body cams, live streaming. Right, that was the discussion this morning, was about whether or not the police should or should not live stream on cameras during their time on duty. Yeah, this fucking guy, that judge, right? And we should be diming these people out. They're in our communities pretending to be about our communities, and they're not. The guy that he's talking about, well, there's 2 of them really. The primary offender there's multiple judges involved in this, but the primary offender was Judge Joseph Salvi, who illegally severed contact with my daughter in March of 2018, and nobody in government has ever done fuck all about it. So I'm resorted to, a couple of different avenues. And I think an intelligent person can come to the conclusion of what goes through one's mind when somebody takes your children illegally. They call that kidnapping. Okay, it's called fucking kidnapping, and I don't give a shit if you wear a black robe or a shield on your chest, right? If you support and you protect that, you're complicit in kidnapping. You are, and my children were kidnapped from me because I'm a whistleblower, and that is the development of what I'm doing. What I'm doing is far more personal than probably 99% of any podcast or network or anything that's ongoing. There's other men like me and women like me that are also having these types of shows, but I don't know that any experience on a political level, the reprisals, okay, because I was running for governor when Judge Salvi severed contact with my daughter. His brother had publicly demanded my gubernatorial nomination. And because all of these assholes are attorneys, they're all connected into this very wealthy mafia of fucking attorneys in this nation. They're able to sever contact with my daughter with virtual impunity and continue to get away with it because nobody wants to talk about it. So they continue to withhold my children, to punish me, to hurt me, to try and portray that everything they said about me is true. They couldn't do it. I was a 20-year United States Navy veteran, just retired honorably out of the Navy after my ex-wife's horrendous accusations she made against me. So somehow magically I was still able to retire and get letters from presidents thanking me for my service. Only a few months after, my ex-wife made all kinds of horrible allegations and she got emergency orders of protection against me. That easy to fucking defame you, demoralize you, ruin your life, ruin your character, everything. Because we don't punish perjury in court. No evidence is required in court. And I want to get into why there is such an intense divide between blacks in America and police, between black and blue. There's a really hard, honest discussion that's got to be held. And this isn't a place for kids. We're going to hold real, honest, difficult conversations as adults. We're going to get to the nuts and the fucking bolts of the problem. Okay. And here's something that's not an option. To anybody on the left, here's what's not an option. You don't get to tell me what I get to talk about. You don't get to tell me. I take that back. You can tell me, Cash, you can't talk about that. And I'm going to say, go fuck yourself. Because you're trying to exercise your control over me. You don't want to be controlled no more than I do. And I will never allow for my voice, my speech to be silenced by the cancel culture or anybody who disagrees with my speech. We can sit down and talk about any issue civilly as adults. If you can't, if you feel that because I'm white and I'm a man, I will gladly bring you a fucking joint. You can smoke that fucking joint to your heart's content. And then maybe you could have some sort of a meaningful conversation with me without being a raging lunatic. Maybe we could just talk about your family and where you come from and your hardships and why you have such strong feelings towards government and politics. What drives that? What motivates that? Because at the end of the day, there's something behind you that says you're a human being. And if we can take the time to just sit down and shut the fuck up and talk to one another, we'll get to those root causes. It took me 4 episodes to go international. 4 episodes international. I think that's pretty good, right? Right? For a poor kid from the freaking bayous from the swamps of Louisiana. There's really not that many swamps in northern Louisiana, if I'm honest. But everybody thinks Louisiana, the whole place is a swamp. It's not, right? I'm closer to being in Texas than anything. Or Arkansas, right? Northwest corner. Who's messaging me? Anyways, We're going to have tough conversations between black and white. And we need to. We need to drive these conversations. White America, white men in America. You can help drive this conversation just as well as anyone within the black community or the Native community. So I want to talk to the white community for a moment, if I may. White America, as your fellow Caucasian, white, heterosexual male, I understand, as well as anyone, you're sick and tired of people telling you that you can't have an opinion because you're white. You can't have a fucking opinion because you're a man. Because anything you say, any idea you have or thought you express, you're automatically a misogynist, or you're a racist, or you're a feminist, or you're some other ist this person has thrown at you because they themselves have allowed for government and their social circles to influence them into demonizing you, demoralizing you. This is the nature of the state. This is the identity of tyranny and government. It's ugly. Okay? What you are experiencing at the hands of people that are in such visceral disagreement with you are people that are largely geographically isolated from many of the fucking people that they're talking about, and vice versa. Rural Podunk, Arkansas is socially insulated from the effects of what's happening in Inglewood in the south side of Chicago. They've got their own set of problems and poverty and issues. And as the working class does, we get up and we go to work and we break our backs and we help our family and we try and make it through the fucking day. And at the end of it all, we're left wondering, what's it all for? And is it really us versus them? Is it black versus white? Let's be honest and cut to the chase. Let's just fucking cut to the chase. What's being worked and angled here is because blacks predominantly vote for Democrats, whites predominantly vote, especially white men, predominantly vote for Republicans. The identity politics of it all is nothing more than a rapid pursuit, an aggressive pursuit of division of the working class. The men and women I call the serfs, right? And we are beholden to government who has taken our property, and they've taken your property. Don't give me this bullshit. If you have to pay property taxes, and if you are paying property taxes, they took your property, and now you're leasing it from them. And we don't question it because it's what we're raised up into thinking of. We have to have this to pay for education. And how fucked up is our education system across this country? Could we agree that Common Core is some of the most communist Marxist shit that has ever been forced down the throats of the American people, that we've been forced to pay for? How can you take math, and math is complex enough as it is. I am not the math guy, right? But you take a simple multiplication, 5 times 10, or 5 times 2 equals 10. You take that, and in Common Core, they'll add additional 15 fucking steps of circling Mars and circle jerking with some aliens before you get to the conclusion of it all. And I'm like, what in the fuck are we doing? Where are we going? And they're teaching our children to overcomplicate things. When you overcomplicate things, what's going to happen? We say in the military, we say KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. Right? When you complicate things, it takes longer to get the fucking job done. No shit. You complicate the hell out of how we're using math, which directly plays into engineering. It directly plays into science. If you complicate the math process, you distance yourself further and further from the truth. When man and humanity is seeking innovation, we're seeking improvement in our society. Why would we adopt an educational platform that makes things far more complex? That doesn't make any sense to me. 2 times 2 is 4. Why in the fuck do I need to go down to Dollar General and buy a toilet plunger and drive home and plunge my fucking toilet before I get to the solution? Why are all these additional steps added in? And if you make a project last longer, it's going to be more expensive. This is not good for society, folks, right? Can we say this collectively together? This is not good for society. When we're teaching our children to overcomplicate their fucking lives and they spend 45 minutes figuring out, how to cross a little puddle of water, grab a goddamn board, put on your rubber boots, walk through it. Take your shoes off and roll your pants legs up. There's multiple channels, yeah. Use the safest and most accurate one. Division is being driven in this country more so between the labor class, the working class, the serfs. That's us. That's us. And the police call themselves the thin blue line. Right? I was a reserve sheriff's deputy in Lake County, Illinois. At one time, I was aspiring to be a federal law enforcement officer. Had set up my military career as best as I could after I made the dumbass choice of joining the submarine community because I thought it sounded very James Bond-like at 17. But I went on to get a top secret clearance. I went on to volunteer hundreds of hours for the reserve sheriff's deputy in Lake County. At the time, it was Sheriff Mark Curran who was there. He knows who I am. It was his jail, consequently, that I resided in on several occasions at the hands of the Lake County Court, who stole my children, that nobody still called them out on. But we're all getting fucked by the same system. Democrats are not my enemy. Republicans are not my enemy. What is our collective enemy is the ignorance and the misdirection and the false narrative that the working class and the Democratic Party are somehow the enemies of the working class of the Republicans. They're not. They are not. White America. Let me tell you about the working class that I saw, that I developed relationships with in places like South and West Chicago. Many of these people, just like you, were born and raised in their environment. This is where they grew up, right? You grew up in rural East Texas. Republican to the core. You hunt, you fish, you ride horses, you ranch. You say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. But the portrayal that's given to you in your community and where you're growing up is the same that it was given to me, in that the inner city where crime is so high, and in this town here near me, Shreveport, Louisiana, I happen to know the chief of police over there, a guy by the name of Ben Raymond. I went to high school with his wife, Wendy. And I can't think of a better man that I've met personally. And I don't know him as a police officer, right? I only met him a few times. But what an amazing guy. And he's got a tremendous network of friends and family. He is a good guy. But Ben Raymond also inherited a sack of shit in the domestic policies in the state of Louisiana that are similar to those in states all across this nation. And it comes from the domestic policy created that drives the division between blue on black, is because we have legislators like Senator Tom, I'm not so smart Cotton, and I went to fucking Harvard. This guy's an idiot. I only need one fucking news story to show you how stupid this guy is and how detached he is from the working men and women of Arkansas and this nation. Right? But we see they went to Harvard, they went to Yale, they got a Bronze Star, they were a Ranger, and in our own ignorance, we don't start just really saying it for what it is. This guy's a fucking Harvard grad. He's an attorney. He infiltrated the Army to learn and understand the Army's collective practices and procedures. He goes on to advocate in a recent piece of legislation, and I want him to own the fuck out of this. You're going to own this one, Tom Cotton. You're going to wish that you hadn't grasped onto this issue with me living in the state of Arkansas. I'm going to tell you that right now. Tom Cotton right now is not in any, without looking at anything else that he's ever done, ever. I don't even want to look at, whether or not he's a war hawk, as many believe that he is, without even looking at that. He goes to Congress in the middle of COVID, when the nation shut down, when our entire country has been in an economic fucking seizure, right? Jolting along back and forth, convulsing on the fucking floor. This genius decides, I'm going to go down to Congress and win myself some fucking brownie points with fucking single moms and feminists. And I'm going to go down and say that non-custodial fathers, and he said fathers, this fucking guy who's a father, going to go down and say non-custodial fathers need to pay more child support. Who in their fucking right mind goes, the working men and women in this country, I don't give a shit if you're non-custodial, that the working men in this country are largely unemployed, not even receiving unemployment benefits. Many of these people, these non-custodial parents that everybody wants to fucking hate on, are having their unemployment completely garnished, and they're getting nothing. These people are living on fucking pennies, folks. Pennies. And fucking people like Tom Cotton are in office shitting all. Don't tell me, Tom Cotton, that you're about soldiers and sailors and airmen and veterans, when it are those communities that you still, as a legislator, have yet to come up with any sort of a fucking intelligent solution to fixing the veteran suicide rate. You can't come up with a solution because you don't want to come up with a solution because you're a part of the machine fucking rhino politics known as the Republican Party. These legislators drive the division. It's not moms versus dads. Tom Cotton stepped up there in fucking Congress and he hit a big old fucking home run to divide moms versus dads in this country, men versus women. You can take up to 65% of a man's fucking income. Don't tell me these men don't pay their child support. The majority of all unpaid child support in this country, Mr. Tom fucking Cotton, is from poor working men and women. And they can't get a break because there is no empathy. There is no sympathy in these court systems. That is why the black community at large, because they are largely overrepresented in the poverty class, that they fucking hate. They hate the judicial system. How many of these men, you go back and you look at their records? I was looking at some today. I think I was on the fucking Caddo Parish website looking at these incarcerations. And there's a nifty little drop down, and you can see all their charges and convictions that they have up on there. Many of these black men started with a simple possession charge. Had a fucking pipe on them. Shreveport police. You enforced the shitty, stupid domestic policies that put them in there. Okay? And then police officers, most of them are good working men and women, like us. They're like us. But we've been conditioned by media to say that they're not, right? And plenty of them enforce some fucked up laws. And they know that they did. And if they're honest with themselves, they'll say it. Men like Dominic Izzo will say it, right? Dominic Izzo's got a big fucking mouth, that guy. But he'll own it all day, every day. He's the most honest. Hate that guy as much as you want. You want an honest fucking guy about all of his faults and the police, and he might not share everything, right? I don't know any human being that shares every 1,000% of who they are. But you get a pretty good idea of who he is. And the police enforce these fucked up laws. And when it all goes south, it's the police that now the state's attorney or whoever else wants to cover their ass will then come down and they're going to hammer the police chief. They're going to hammer these junior police officers. They're going to find somebody to pin that shit up on and say, you guys fucked up. You fucked up. And they're going to pit the police. And that's what they've done. Successfully, they have done this. They pit the police against the working class. They take people from our communities, blue-collar men and women, train them to enforce these shitty, stupid statutes and penal codes and ordinances, and then they set them upon the fucking public to go be tax collectors, to drive revenue for government. And all of these negative interactions that happen, every single negative interaction sends out a ripple effect. Ripple effect. I mean, it's just going everywhere. And it makes people more distrusting of those that we're entrusting to help protect us in our communities. Police are not our enemy. The enemy is the ignorance that we have, that we're somehow apart, that we're somehow not the same people living under the same set of broad guidelines and rules. But Cash, you've got white privilege. You got white privilege. Need I remind you, I haven't seen my children in 2 years. Have I not said it 10,000 times already? You want me to add another one to it? How privileged could I possibly fucking be? You see, you desperately want for me to hurt less than you. Black America desperately, many of them, desperately want me as a white man to hurt less than them. I can't possibly hurt more than them because I'm not black. I didn't come from the same background. I don't have the same ancestry. I must have it better. It must be better for me. It must be. Everybody tells me so. You have white privilege, Cash Jackson. You have male privilege, Cash Jackson. I've never been found to be unfit. I've never been found to be an endangerment. I have always provided for my family, for my children. Always. And I haven't seen my children in over 2 years. After 20 years of naval service. I've got letters from presidents and governors. I got one from Asa Hutchinson, the current governor of Arkansas, where I live, thanking me for my service. You can't get a governor in America to get involved in family law. You cannot get a governor in fucking America to say, judicial branch, I don't think that it's moral or principled of us as a state representing a free people to withhold children for years at a fucking time. Had I got elected governor of Illinois, I would have destroyed, in an instance, I would have destroyed family law. I would have destroyed it. These judges would have been hauled out. They would have stood trial for the inhumane treatment of the people of Illinois. I have witnessed it first fucking hand, and I still live it, and the fuckers still threaten me that they're going to incarcerate me for live streaming them. Live streaming a public court hearing onto my Facebook page, they threaten me with incarceration. I am a citizen journalist. Try to incarcerate me. I will not be taken as a political prisoner or to be silenced in a nation I swore to support and defend. I will exercise my constitutional right 1,000%. Black America is no different than white America, the working class, in the regard that we are all being oppressed under the same system. We are not in opposition of one another. we simply have a variance in complexities in our respective communities. You don't think that in a lot of these communities that are substantially white, 90, 95%, you don't think that the poor working white class, who do you think comes kicking in their doors? Who do you think gets drug out? You don't think there's some vigilante backdoor justice that goes down in the fucking hills, in the hollers of Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, New York, Ohio? You don't think that in these rural environments, some personal grudges don't get fucking settled between police and those that they interact with on a daily basis? You don't think that there's millions of whites out there that have a similar mindset as what you do? They do. And they're tired of people saying that they don't have any room at the table. White men in America, like myself, are tired of being told there's no room for you at the table. You had your chance, white America. We are a constant evolvement as a community of people in this country. We're constantly evolving and getting to know one another better, finding out more about one another and our respective cultures and where we come from and where our ancestors come from. Collectively, we're innovating as a society and mixing ourselves and discovering the fact that I can live alongside a peaceful Muslim. I cannot live alongside a radical Muslim. I can reside alongside somebody peacefully who grows and consumes cannabis, as long as they don't harm me or my family. That's an identity of liberty and allowing another person to live their life freely, whether or not you agree with them. If there's a gay couple who buys a home next to me, I have no business in their home uninvited. I have no business in their affairs uninvited. And that's where it ends. Government ends where your property in your life. You should be the king of your castle, not government. The mere fact that they can exercise parens patria, the supreme parent that we have allowed the courts in this country to get to such a degree that they can exercise parens patria. I think that's how you pronounce it. Again, if I ever say anything wrong or fuck it up, I will always fall back on the fact that I was born and raised in Louisiana. That's ranked last in the nation for education. I've always got a fallback. Thank you, Louisiana. Education system. But I think they actually did a pretty good job with me, despite the poor rap that they get. Given my own circumstances and my own upbringing and what I had to live. Hold on a second. Got a caller. Rain of Phoenix, we're live on the air. Do you wanna chime in on today's discussion of how handsome I am? Well, laughing is what the girls in high school did, which is how I got this insecurity in this complex.
Oh my gosh. So you put me on the spot.
Yeah, no, you put yourself on the spot when you called me without verifying whether or not I was on a live stream or not.
Oh goodness.
So everybody can hear you, so I hope that you don't get nervous around talking to large crowds. There's only 600 people on the feed.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah, it's a small day.
Small day. Oh my gosh. Well, first off, hello everyone.
I think they all say hi.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I won't interrupt your feed.
Okay.
All right. What is the topic for the day, by the way?
Huh?
What is the topic for the day, by the way?
Oh, coffee and donuts. We're discussing police officers.
Coffee and what?
Donuts. Police
Coffee and
officers,
donuts. Okay.
your community.
I know a few.
Marina happens to be a military police officer. She's security forces. They don't function in the same capacity quite like what your normal public servants do. They're more security, like stay the fuck off our base or we'll shoot you type people, right? What's up, Wayne Elder? So okay, well I'll let you go so I can get on with the show here.
All right, get on with the show.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for calling in.
All right, I'll chat with you later.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. What's up, Katie? Katie's one of my biggest supporters, and I appreciate this lady. This much. Huge. And I'm glad that I saw this. Okay. I meant to put this up the other night. In my defense, I didn't because I had the pipe in my mouth for too long, if you know what I mean. I had to rethink something. I had to weigh some things out. Okay. I'm supposed to be in Illinois December 24th. And I created an event for that. A few people are going to come, but I'm not going to go. And here's why. Over the past week, I've been down here helping my brother out in Louisiana. His house caught fire the night before Thanksgiving. And it's given me an opportunity to spend, well, hell, this is my second trip back down here. I've spent about 2 out of the last 3 weeks or so down here with my family. And given the uncertainty of what's going to transpire in January, I want to maximize my time with my family. As many of you know, I have left from Louisiana at 17 in 1996, whenever I left into the Navy. And the only time I came back was on leave, was on vacation time. And we got into all kinds of shenanigans as young men on leave. And we went out and drank all night and might have gotten some bar fights and, ate chili cheese dogs underneath the Jimmy Davis Bridge in downtown Shreveport. But I've had the opportunity to come back and spend time with my family. And being that this Christmas is in 2020, and this year has been one gigantic bucket of fuck, right? If I was ever running down the road blindfolded and tripped off a ledge and fell in a bucket of dicks, it wouldn't be as bad as 2020, right? 2020 has been a gigantic cluster for all of us. But it's also been a great time to really reflect and see. Look, people, you see what they're doing in COVID, these COVID measures. You see the hypocrisy of the Lori Lightfoots of the world, the J.B. Pritzkers of the world. Them and their families can go on with their lives, the Nancy Pelosi's of the world. The ones who push this idea that state can decide for you at all times what's best for you. They have been able to successfully do that because we didn't say a fucking thing about family law. It wasn't broadcast enough. It wasn't fought for enough. I mean, they were literally taking people's kids, folks. They were literally taking people's children with the lowest standard of evidence possible, preponderance. Why in the fuck would we do that? Come on. This is fucking America, folks. How many of your brothers do you know that have been screwed in family court? How many of your fathers do you know? Your best friends? Your co-workers? How many do you know? Think about it. It's a gigantic industry that is one of the starting points, right? They're capitalizing on what happens in everyday America. Relationships fail. That happens. Boom. Fucking boom. He says he's a black man. He's got a white guy with a mustache up on there from gangs in New York. Bill the Butcher. Love that guy, man. That's one of my favorite characters. I loved his character. Daniel Day-Lewis can fucking act, man. That guy in Lincoln, wow. He put it in all caps for you. Absolutely nothing is more of a threat to him. This is to him. This is his position. This is his reality. And he says that it's not a white man and it's not a racist that's his greatest threat. The state has my unyielding hatred for what it has done to the American family of every race and to the freedom of every American from every walk of life. I didn't serve for this either. I take that to mean this is a veteran who's also been negatively affected. And the state, I love what he says, has my unyielding hatred. How could you not hate somebody or hate a system that takes your children? That system was born out of slavery. Whites have been enslaved before. Can we acknowledge this? Europeans have been enslaved before. May we honestly and intellectually acknowledge the historical fact that whites, Europeans, have been enslaved in this world. Right? With every other fucking race. So in America, we have to come to some conclusions at some point in time about what we know to be true, what we can show to be true, and what we can show right now at this very moment is that myself, a white man in America, a veteran, is agreeing with a black man in America on the exact same issue of state overreach is what we agree upon right here. That's why this is the middle ground. Liberty is the middle ground. Identifying ourselves as the working class, identifying the common enemy of the state, not the Republican Party, the state. And the state is comprised of Democrats and Republicans who have controlled American politics in this nation for entirely too fucking long. Both political parties are substantially guilty of gerrymandering districts, of creating and designing laws that pushes out any competition from third parties and independents. I ran for governor of 2018. I know, I got firsthand experience. JB, fat ass Pritzker, and Bruce, the no backbone having Ronner, they only needed 5,000 signatures. I needed nearly fucking 50,000. The guy that served the goddamn country. I couldn't even get a fucking break. Me and the Libertarian Party had to hit the streets. And you can't even collect your signatures till after them. They set it up so that if you want to run as a third party, right? They set this up so they don't have no competition. Republicans and Democrats have held a duopoly control of the American political system, and they have held the working class hostage to maintain their political fucking power. The corruption is covered up extensively on every level. But we can't get to that because they keep the division stoked between the working class. We got to start saying, Mr. Police Officer, you ain't my enemy. And the police got to start saying, sir, you're not my enemy. I'm not saying that they don't, but we need a collective voice. We got to get out on the fucking 50-yard line together, and we got to start standing around and talking amongst ourselves. Why am I seeing every morning over here in Shreveport, Louisiana, death after death after death after death? The difference between Shreveport, Louisiana is one of economics since I was a boy. Shreveport, Louisiana and Bossier City, Louisiana are no different than the north suburbs of Chicago and the south suburbs of Chicago, just on a smaller scale. I believe sometime in the 1990s, early 90s, 93, 94, Shreveport had the highest murder capita in the nation. I could be wrong on that. That's my recollection from my young boyhood. But every day, see him over in Shreveport. And I see this guy, Ben Raymond, chief of police that I know. We're not good friends or anything. I'm not alleging that. I've met the guy several times. I've known his wife since I was itty bitty. Right? Played football with her brother. Thank you for the question, Lorraine. I believe that it does. Here's what Patreon is going to turn into. Patreon isn't just you giving me money for a fucking broadcast. Many are like that. That's what they are. You're paying for a broadcast. You're paying to watch a channel no differently than you would for Netflix or Hulu or something else. Now, where's the difference? Where does the difference come in? Our time and attention is spent on Instagram models. Not that there's not some drop dead gorgeous Instagram models out there worth reveling over. But our time is spent as men in this country scrolling Instagram, scrolling through fucking whatever dating apps out there, burying our heads in our shops and elsewhere. And we are neglecting the most important part of our future and that of our future generations. We are neglecting our duty as citizens to protect and uphold that Constitution. Those discussions and the more in-depth conversations about how we're going to actually implement the solutions, it's going to go down to Patreon. All of these messages that I've gotten over the years, I've gotten thousands and thousands and thousands, and I'll gladly sit here on a feed and scroll and show you what my message box looks like. How many messages I fucking get. Thousands and thousands and thousands. And being an empathetic person, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I read people's pain and I read the words in their pain, I want to help every single person I can. I want desperately to solve their case for them and get them their children back. Nothing would please me more. But I'm not an attorney. I can't give legal advice. I can give you my experience and my wisdom, the lessons that I've learned. Mother, see, this is a working man's news station. That's my mother here hollering over here. Yes, Laura. He's on the live feed. Just go over to his Facebook page and just click down on his live feed.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you in my kitchen.
You hear her? You see the shit I got to put up with? Nothing would please me more. I just pulled myself up. Look at that.
Yes, Laura. He's on the live feed.
I love the delay.
Facebook page and just click down on his live feed.
You see the shit I got to put up with? We're going to say. We're going to take a break here in a minute because I got to do a 2-minute pump and dump. I got to get rid of some coffee. No, it doesn't mean I have to take a dump. It means you can take 2 minutes to take a dump. All right. I'm going to try and hold it far enough back where you can't read the names. I'm trying to respect the privacy of people here. This is just my public page, okay? I want you to see something. I want everybody to see something here. This is solely my public page. This is only one account. This is only my Facebook account, right? This isn't even my private one. It wasn't the Twitter where I had over 70,000 supporters over there, my Instagram, and now these other platforms, right? This is only one. That's it. And it's because of this, right? This is how much people send me. They send me, they ask me questions, they send me videos, attachments, links, wanting me to help them. They send me their court case files. They send me videos of and photos of children, their own children that they have documented being physically abused. So I look at those. Um, I mean, it's endless. It's on and on and on, right? How much of me do I have to go around? Okay. How do I invest in my family and my time and still fight for this cause? This, right? My arm's getting tired. Okay. And I just started. We could probably do this till tomorrow and we wouldn't get to the bottom. This is how many families, folks, are being affected. These people reach out to me because of family law. You understand this? Look at this. This is family law and the destruction right here. Okay? Look at this. I'll just keep fucking going. I don't joke. I'll sit down. You can sit down with my phone and look at the shit yourself. If anybody thinks I'm full of shit, I'll show you. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people contact me. Okay? Don't tell me that what I do isn't important. When this many people are reaching out to me for answers, it's fucking important. Okay? It's not an Instagram model, right? I'm not a contributor or a content creator for those who want to delude themselves into believing that we don't have real world issues that somebody's got to fucking solve. Okay? So I'm catering to the adults in the room here. I'm catering to the adults to help me to solve these problems. I'm trying to build this network so I can get some assistance in solving these problems. But these aren't going to get solved without you. We can build a massive news media network for the working men and women that runs 24/7 so that the issues you're contacting me about here, we can broadcast them. We can do stories on them. We know because we're living it with you. Working men and women are living this with you. And it takes a toll on me. It weighs on me. I told people in 2016 that we were going to change this, and I fucking meant it. I still mean it. And like everyone else before me, the men and women that have been involved in this for 10, 15, 20 years, we don't need reform. Reform is gone. They had their chance to reform this shit. The chance for reform is fucking over. It's time for abolishment. 1000% abolishment of family law, domestic relations court, 100% abolishment of marriage license. That is what the state uses to force you to come back to them so they can see how much property you made, how much the serfs made. Because when you have children and you get married, you work hard to provide for the family and you develop resources to care for the family. So to check out with the state, you got to check in with the state first. Got to get your marriage certificate, your marriage license. Then when you check out with the state, the checkout process is you got to go through the checkout line. They got to see how much you got. They got to assess how much that home's worth, how much you got in your 401k, what college funds have you accrued for your children? What did you inherit when your parents or your grandparents died? They're going to take all of that, and the state's going to go, yeah, before you can check out, before we can let you have this divorce. About that divorce, Mr. Jackson, we're going to need to first strip you down of all of your finances, everything that you worked for in 20 years of military service. And they've got great, beautiful things in the courthouse, the Lake County Courthouse, to tell veterans how much they love us. They put the lipstick on the pig in there. They put up all these little promos about how they love their veterans. And you walk behind one door in courtroom 102, and you'll encounter a fat fucking piglet tyrant like that. right in that courthouse, right behind those closed doors, where they have star chambers, secret hearings, designing and scheming how to take your kids from you the same as they did to me. It's not conspiracy theory. I'll show any son of a bitch on a piece of paper. I'll sit down right now with Donald fucking Trump and show him how Lake County broke the law. Judge Salvi should be in prison for his crimes. Judge Christensen should be in prison for her crimes. It is a RICO activity, and I'm a whistleblower. I'm a Navy veteran who hasn't seen his kids in 2 years, and I'm angry as fuck about it. And I don't give a shit who likes my political speech or lack thereof. That's what I'm here for. God bless us all with a variety of talents and skill sets. This is mine. This is the one that I've developed and honed and learned, and I'm a wealth of knowledge and experience. I am not an expert on any field, I don't believe, to the degree that I am on family law and how it functions, how it operates. Joining me on Patreon shows me you believe in me enough to financially contribute to me, to help me to build this platform. I've not left. I've stayed in the fight in a very large way, in your face way. And I'm doing it as a citizen journalist, as a constitutionalist, as somebody who loves his country and believes in defending what men and women died for and setting right the record. Black men in America, we take 10,000 of us, and I'll meet with 10,000 of you, and we can sit down. Open up Soldier Field. We'll go sit on Soldier Field and just have a political discussion. That's it, a political discussion. A philosophical discussion on the state and where she should be interjecting into our personal lives. How much should corporate America be controlling our politicians through their paid lobbyists? Do you got money to be able to give one of these lobbyists $20,000 for one of these designer watches? Huh? No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. You don't have a word down there because you don't have the green to go stuff in these fuckers' pockets. The payment comes through by way of these political action committees, multi-million-dollar donors who buy their voice. They control them. They're bought. You want to stay there, you need our money to do it. That's the consensus. Fuck their gag orders. Somebody's got a gag order on you, I'll try and air it out. I'll air them out. I don't care. You cannot live in fear of these people anymore. The more public you make these bastards, the more in your face you show the world for what they are, the more the world sees the Cash Jackson ain't as crazy as everybody fucking thinks that he is. You got to have some balls. You got to have some testicular fortitude to say, fuck it. They're breaking all the laws anyway. They're breaking the laws to separate you from your kids. And you're going to toe the line and obey their rules? Fuck these people. Fuck them. Put me in jail too. That's what they try and do. Jail isn't pleasant. They weaponize the contempt powers of the court. You want to know one reason Black America's mad as fuck? I'll tell you why. Because they get hauled off in front of these kangaroo courts with these judges, these shitbird judges, and they run them up and want to talk down to these fathers like they're shitbags when they're poor and they're struggling. I'm not saying there's not plenty of shitbirds in the Black community. There's plenty of shitbirds in the white community that don't want to provide for their kids. But if we really got to the truth of why that person's a shitbird, if you peeled back all the layers of the onion, chances are somebody fucked them up. Chances are some generational trauma. They were beaten, they were abused, they were fucked up. Then you got people going, well, they didn't get their ass whipped hard enough. I got my ass beat. You ever think maybe that's why you didn't go real far in life? You ever think maybe that's why it traumatized you and you did illicit drugs and you self-medicated and you hung out down at the fucking bar? You ever stop and think that maybe you're so harsh on your children because you got your ass beat? Hey, crackhead, come here. Get over here. Come here and say hi. Crazy bastard. Come here. Macy. Hey, come over here. Hey, come here. Stop being a lunatic. Stop being a lunatic. Come here. This is what I got to put up with. She wants to play with her sister. She's a young puppy. She's learning. She's all jived up wanting to play. Prancing around with grandma over here. It's the working man that's cycling in and out of these jails, right? It's those living at and below the poverty line. People keep searching for all these answers for Black America, and I'm not pretending that I know them. I feel certain there's individuals within the Black community, as is there is in the white community, right? It's fair to discuss white on white crime just as fair as it's to discuss Black on Black crime. We should be able to have an honest conversation about both. We largely keep to ourselves, Black and white, which of course is why we statistically are more likely to kill one another, because we spend more time around people that we look like. That's not so much an effect of racism as it is the fact that just as human beings, we gravitate towards those that we're more like-minded with. We're more like-minded with people that come from communities that help to raise us with the same values and culture, right? We have to end the shit. We have to end it. Somebody has to draw a line in the sand and say, enough is enough. And that's really what we're here to do. We're here to say enough is enough. We're drawing our line in the sand right here. The American people have had it. And we're going to pursue not just reform, abolishment of stupid fucking laws, of state overreach, putting people in jail for idiotic reasons, incentivizing the incarceration of people, incentivizing through federal funding. In each one of these, it's all federally incentivized, which is why I believe we have a legal argument to not pay taxes. They have weaponized government against the people. This is evident. When an entire judicial branch of government, state government, exempted itself from transparency in Illinois when they said, you cannot FOIA the state. Or you can, but we're going to deny your request because the judicial branch is exempt from Freedom of Information Act request. So you can't even request information from these bastards and get a reply. I have to. I have to do more shows. I have to. I have to get the material out there. I have to get the content out there. I have to get the conversations out there and keep them going. Keep them front and center. More of us have to do it. I'm not in competition with anybody except myself to do more, to be better, to bring more to the table each time I wake up. There are plenty. There are plenty. Racism is taught. It's taught. It was taught. And we got to reject. We have to reject it. We have to reject it. Well, this is part of it right here, Scott. This is part of that. Discussions of working men and working women in broadcasts just like this. You could create your own show and dialogue these issues, discuss these issues. It's the entirely too inflammatory rhetoric driven out of mainstream media. And a lot of these guys that are podcasting, they're modeling themselves after mainstream media. And I don't get that. Now, I like plenty of shows out there, and I think they do a really good job. But frankly, I'm tired up with mainstream media. I want something entirely different. I want people like Jonathan Kendall to go, talk to me, mate. Let's talk, man. Let's have those conversations. We have the conversations and be honest about and be real about the actual circumstances in this country and how we're all being affected. The police are not the enemy of the people. The laws that we ask our police to enforce, because we don't get involved with the legislative process. The legislative branch is largely overrun by attorneys, by those who have went to law school. We think that that's what makes them the most capable to be lawmakers. And that is, in fact, what makes them the most dangerous to be lawmakers. Because they understand to a very specific degree on how they can manipulate the wording and the language of the law to maximize the extraction of your resources, that of the working man and woman in America. They do. They have large recruitments for minorities. I know I saw the advertisements and the ads running while I lived in Illinois. They've got a pretty decent, I think, minority representation on Chicago PD, I believe, especially in those communities. They're not stupid. They do take people out of these communities, and they want people out of those communities because they know them. They can go back into them and talk to and relate to the people. There's plenty of police who genuinely want the streets to become safer. The war on drugs has been a notorious failure. It's been the single largest dividing point and cause of conflict and unnecessary interactions between the police and citizens in this country. Countless lives have been lost as a result of the war on drugs. You incarcerate a guy and deprive him of his liberty when he didn't harm anybody and wasn't set out to harm anybody. You are violating natural law. Now, no, I'm not advocating for children having heroin. Don't be fucking stupid. Most people are the way that they are because of their upbringing. I'm not dismissing their behaviors or their choices. They have to take accountability for those. My friend Jason Spires did whenever he had 30 pounds of weed in Illinois, and he went to prison on a 30-year sentence. He did, I think, 13 to 15 years of that sentence. State of Illinois labeled this guy a Class X offender. They said he could not be rehabilitated. He was a 19-year-old white male in the state of Illinois, sentenced to 30 years for having 30 pounds of cannabis. Now, that's a lot of weed, right? That's a lot of weed. I don't care if you had a semi-truck filled with it. The police have no business taking your property from you. The police have no business taking that which you produce, that which God put on this earth. They're going to come through and ransack your tomato plants. You've got angel trumpets. People down here have angel trumpets in their front yard. They're extremely lethal. Right? There's mushrooms all through the forest and the swamps. And if you consume one, you're going to trip balls. You're going to be playing the piano with a fuzzy pink elephant before the sun goes down. You eat some of those fucking mushrooms out in the woods. A lot of these things have medicinal value that have been left undiscovered. And a man making the choice to consume one of these products or not is his choice. We understand the dangers of cigarettes. We understand the dangers of alcohol and refined sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Things that kill millions of Americans every year that we don't put people in jail for. We got to get it through our thick fucking skulls, okay? That a man or woman is going to do something whether they want to or not. And it's best to just educate them to any dangers that may exist and any benefits that may exist and allow for them to weigh the pros and the cons of the use of that product and get out of the way. This is true. In some places, they do have these restrictions. We could feed the entire fucking world, folks. We could feed, there should never be a person on this planet with today's technology that starves. Never. Or goes hungry. Never. With today's technology and our resources and what we're capable of achieving, if we put our minds to it, we don't need the government to do it. It should be common practice across this country that cities and states have land not in use that's being farmed. Welfare shouldn't just be, here's a card, go swipe it on whatever you want. It should be producing for the community in which is supporting you. Run urban farms, gardens. You can do vertical gardening up and down the walls of fucking buildings, right? You could have scaffolding and farming and greenhouses and endless water collection and on and on and on. We should never allow for these things in this country. And the left, many of them are just compassionate people. They just want, they see this, here's what the left sees. They see that the right is capable of spending money to wage war in foreign countries when we've got all of these problems in America that are going unaddressed. We've got the money to spend trillions of dollars in the war on terror instead of trillions of dollars on the American people. And to that end, I agree with them. If I have a choice, we got a dollar bill. Do I spend this dollar in Afghanistan blowing shit up? Blowing up villages of people who are not a threat to my constitutional right? Or do I spend the dollar here helping somebody get up and out of poverty? Or to have medical coverage? So if I had a choice, I would rather help people and not blow people up. And somebody on the right's going, but we're helping them because we're freeing them under their tyranny. These people have lived under this shit for thousands and thousands of fucking years. America fought its own revolution that was badly needed to sever the cord of tyranny, to be birthed anew in a new country. And there's nowhere else to go now, folks, right? Unless we get into outer space, unless Elon Musk wants to take us all up, we got to deal with it. There's no going to another country. This expectation that land's going to be given back, right? I get into it with Native Americans because, they say you're living on stolen land. The more appropriate term, if we're really honest with ourselves, is conquered. As shitty as it is of a reality to accept that, it was conquered land. And they did some fucked up things to conquer the land. They murdered, they likely raped, they killed, they indiscriminately destroyed native villages. And it was a fucked up, atrocious, terrible, inhumane thing that occurred in this nation's development. I acknowledge all of the above. But then the left will gladly stop at the argument and discussion when you bring in the homeland. You bring in the continent of Africa into the discussion and say, well, hold on. There's also still slavery occurring in Africa as we speak at this moment. And we all come from Africa, right? Isn't that a prevailing argument? Out of creationism or where man originated from? I believe it's quite popular on the left for them to brag about that man derived from out of Africa, that all of man derived from out of Africa. Okay, fine. I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an anthropologist or a biologist or any other type of scientificist. So that if my ancestors came from Africa, can I say I'm African American and be white? Or is somebody going to fucking destroy me for it? Which one is it? Did man originate out of Africa? I don't know. But you can't be saying, the same people who are saying that man came out of Africa, okay, fine. Then I'm African, I guess. I'm fucking confused now. I don't know. Do I get to be that? Or somewhere along the line, somebody snapped their fingers and I changed fucking white and I'm no longer African anymore. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. We got to let them live their own lives in these other nations. Our foreign policy is shit. We're spending entirely too much American money, and that American money is on the backs of you and the working class and your children and future generations. That's on their back, right? Jamal says yes. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I'm indifferent because we're all human beings on the same rock. Russians, Chinese, the working class Russians and the working class Chinese are like you and I. They're not different than us. They want the same for their families as you want for your families here. And man's quest for control and dominion over other men has led us to believe that somehow that all of these false dichotomies that have propped up over the years, been built up over the years, that we're somehow separate when we're not. We're all revolving around and underneath the same set of stars, right? The universe. We're all these little bitty peons, itty bitty insignificant specks of fucking life. And if we were made in the likeness of God, if I was made in the likeness of God, and if all of creation, if you were black and you were made in the likeness of the Lord, you're a creation of a divine creator of some kind. I believe that we're all of some divine creator. I think that we're life in the universe is too infinitely complex to not have a creator, because even nothing is something, right? The emptiness of space, the boundaries of space. You ever stop to consider this? That space doesn't end. It's not like you get to, if I went on a gigantic fucking Cash Jackson space journey with Mama Jackson, and we went on a big solar or a big trip across the fucking universe. It's not like you get to an outer wall and go, oh, well, I guess that's it. You got to turn around and go home. Seen all there is to see. That's the end of the universe. Because even on the outside, let's say that there was some magical force field there, and I get up to it and I can't go any further. Well, what's all this emptiness? What's holding up all this emptiness on the other side? What's over there? The universe and the world and nature and man are entirely too complex to deny the existence of a fucking divine creator, in my opinion. I think it takes a lot more faith to believe in we came from mud. I think that takes far more faith. I would much rather to believe that there's some big dude up above that's doing what he's doing. Edward Penn, how would you know? How would you know? Maybe you're experiencing these kinds of things. What are we going to do January 20th of this year if Donald Trump doesn't walk out of that office? What's the left got to do? My guys on the ground over there, Frank and Tony, been in Washington, D.C. It's not pretty what's happening. You can go over to the Veteran Liberty Network, and those guys have been streaming and posting. These guys have been on the street, right? NBC and ABC and these other motherfuckers, this mainstream media, you know what they do? Their correspondents are too protected. You know why? Because they sell bullshit. That's why. My guy's been on the street, just showing it for what it is. Just live streaming what's happening. Let the American people decide. They should all be legal, right? And they are. We've allowed ourselves to believe that the ruling class has dominion over us. They have dominion as long as we allow them to have dominion. They get to run your life and tell you how much you're going to pay in taxes under a threat of force. And you and your father and your grandfather never fucking question it. And you didn't fight to change it. It's immoral, in my opinion. It is the most immoral tax that you could do, to tax a man's income, his labor. And exactly where that originated, I'm not entirely certain. Because I know it came before, the income tax that was incorporated here in America, right? Taxing a man's income and his labor has been around for a very long time. One man telling another man under threat of force that if you don't give me your property, we will take your shit or we will incarcerate you. Be factual about what taxes is. We demonize those who don't pay their taxes. Now, there are plenty of people who do it for, I think, very poor reasons, right? I think if you don't pay taxes, especially like an income tax, right? If I buy this lighter, okay, and government taxes this lighter and the fuel that's on it or in it, right? They tax that. I can agree to that tax by purchasing this lighter. I can say, yes, I'm willing to pay that amount of money for that item with the additional taxes on it. And for whatever its allocation or use, right? Maybe it's for lung cancer awareness or treatment, whatever. Okay. But I'm willing to pay the tax. That's a consumption tax, a consumer tax on an item, right? So if you're going to go to the restaurant, you're going to eat. Okay. And that product and that service is taxed, a corporate tax. Okay. Got it. But to tax a man on his home, on his property, on his labor is immoral. You've believed it to be moral because your daddy told you it was moral. You believed it to be right and correct because your family did it. All of your peers do it. Nobody talks about it. We just bitch about it. We don't talk about it. We bitch about it. Tom Cotton, the public's telling you you're an idiot and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about because they're taxing fatherhood. They take our children from us and then force us to pay for the very children they deny us access to. That is a slavery mindset. And that we will adopt and believe this and say that this is moral, it's okay. Look me in the face. Come down here to Mendon, Louisiana, sit here at this fucking kitchen table with me over a cup of coffee and breakfast that my mother would make for us, and with a straight face telling me that it's not inhumane for me to not see my kids for 2 years, to be locked in litigation for 6 years, to spend over $85,000 in attorney fees, fighting for my own simple right to be a dad in this country, that service members and the American people are touting for defending the Constitution. Reality check. The Constitution is not defended by the military. Reality check. They do not teach the fucking Constitution to the military. I think I got that reality check thing from Ben Swan. I don't know. But I don't even give a shit if you leave him a civil message. You know why? Because the guy didn't take the time to learn the issue or discuss the issue with all of the fathers and the non-custodial parents being fucked. You would think that a man who was going to make a proposition to other working men to take more money from them and give it to another person would have a conversation about them and their circumstances and their ability to do so. Let's call him. Let's call him. How about on the next show, we'll call Tom Cotton's office. We're not going to get him on the line. We're going to get somebody else on the line, right? It's going to be somebody from his office, one of his assistants. But let's make a media inquiry. You guys all can reach out to Tom Cotton individually and say, hey, Tom Cotton, we would like for you to appear on the Veteran Liberty Network with Cash Jackson. Right? A fellow veteran. We'll invite Tom Cotton or somebody from his office to speak on his behalf if he's not man enough to come on this show and be scrutinized by myself, a reporter. If he's afraid of me, just say so. And we'll contact his office. And we'll find out. Right now, we're going to take a fucking 2-minute break, 2-minute pump and dump. I think I said it about 20 minutes ago. I got to get rid of some coffee. Let's play something. Let's see what I got. CJ needs to put in some more like videos or shit for me here that I can pick. All right, fuck it. You guys are going to have to deal with this. I can't get the music right now, so.
Shut!
People born by freedom won, yet held in precarious station. Set upon defense and sealed his will to guard and protect his new nation. So he resolved to find of all who would challenge his right to be free. With a swift-sailing vessel and 10-carriage guns to hunt the world's oceans and seas. Born to go into harm's way, from all ye hell or high waters be damned. No lightning, no thunder, nor hurricane hail can stand in the face of his wrath. Beneath his enemies flee, like cloud where their gates cannot grow. To the tide that rise, every last man shall shake to the core of his soul. For submerged operation by OpSCAD 48 Tech 18, Department of myself. Sending is 1385 fathoms beneath the keel and checks with chart. I am verifying the right to water team is pre-interned to dismiss the ship. I intend to submit the ship to an automatic. Time! to be another river of blood running under my feet. Forged in a fire lit long ago. Stand next to me, you'll never stand alone. I'm last to leave, but the first to go. Lord, underway's the only way I know. I feed on the fear of the devil inside of the enemy's faces in my sight. Aim with a hand, shoot with a mind, kill with a heart like Arctic ice.
I am Leviathan and death is my call.
I am Leviathan, death is my call.
I am a warrior and this is my song.
I am a warrior and this is my song. I'm bask in the glow of the rising war. Lay waste to the ground and the enemy shore. Wade through the blood spilled on the floor. And if another one moves, I'll kill some more. Bullet in the breach and a fire in me. Like a cigarette thrown to gasoline. If death don't bring you fear, then death ain't coming from the deep. Come to the nightmare, come to me. Way down in the dark where the devil will be. In the hall with the jaws and the razor teeth. Where the brimstone burns and the angel weeps. Call to the God who has crossed your path. And the silhouette hangs in the aftermath. Hope is a moment now long past. The shadow of death is the one I have. I am the Leviathan, death is my call. I am a warrior and this is my song. My breath is fire and my eyes are the dawn. I am a warrior and this is my song.
We came to this town for one reason, and one reason only. Because we did not serve this country. We see the oppression of our people. We see the oppression of our citizens in this country. Our brothers and sisters did not die. We're forced jobs. We're big companies that collude with the government.
Jesus, it would not let me exit out of the intro. I was back for like 3 minutes and I'm like, man, it's not letting me in the intro. So I'm gonna have to learn another piece from my executive producer whenever I run these shows on my own. Shouldn't let children play with adult toys. Yeah, coming back to Senator Tom Cotton. Hey, let's do it. Let's call him. You guys said you want to call Tom Cotton? Let's call him. We'll leave a message. Matter of fact, we'll see if I can leave a message because more than likely that's what it's going to be. It's after 5 o'clock, right? So I'm not going to expect them. They work banker hours, 9 to 5, you know, COVID measures. They got to go in, do a little bit of time, get a paycheck. See what I'm saying? Justify their existence. Got to have them.
Out of an abundance of caution and safety in response to the current coronavirus pandemic, our office is closed, but Senator Cotton and our staff are working remotely on behalf of our Kansans. Please leave a detailed message with your name and telephone number as we are checking voicemails regularly. If you are calling with questions or concerns about the stimulus package Congress recently passed in response to the coronavirus pandemic, please also visit Senator Cotton's website, Facebook, and Twitter for helpful information, website links, and telephone numbers. Thank you and stay safe.
Yes, my name is Cash Jackson. I am the founder of the War is Hell podcast. I am a retired Navy veteran and also a non-custodial father. And I would like to have Tom Cotton on the show to discuss with my veteran community and supporters why he's advocating for more child support for non-custodial parents during a national crisis where many of us are out of work. I believe that Tom Cotton owes the people of Arkansas and this nation an explanation as to why there was no advocacy for equal custody for fathers, and instead there was an advocacy for more money to be taken from people that are like myself and haven't seen their kids in over 2 years. So I would appreciate a call back from Mr. Tom Cotton. My number is 479-847-0224. I have 37 viewers currently watching me or listening to me make this phone call. So there's at least 37 to 38 witnesses besides myself that would testify that I've made this phone call in an attempt to have a discussion with my federal legislator. So I appreciate your time today, and I'm looking forward to hearing from Tom Cotton and having an in-depth conversation about this issue. Thank you. We'll see. More than likely, nothing. More than likely, nothing's going to come from it, right? Because they're rhinos. Somebody paid that guy to do it. Somebody fucking paid this guy. Somebody paid this guy to do it. I have no doubt. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, in my district where I live, guess what? There's a Women's Progressive Political Action Committee, right? And who do they recruit to run? A female family law attorney, June something was her name. They're in Logan County, Arkansas. She ran against John Eubanks. So the Progressive Feminist Communist Marxist Front recruited a female family law attorney, not married, right? Has kids, to run against John Eubanks. I exchanged messages with her. She defends the state's position in dealing with children. She believes, like other attorneys, many of whom that I've encountered now, female attorneys, and I wholeheartedly disagree with them. My friend's dating a female family law attorney right now. She has no kids. She's not married. And she's a guardian ad litem deciding what's best for your children. And she believes that the state, because she went through law school, because she went through years of this indoctrination, she's not going to bite the hands that feed her. She said it's fucked up. She knows it's fucked up. She knows it is. She says it. She said it to me. Cash, I've seen exactly what you're talking about. She's a female family law attorney practicing law in Cook County, dating a friend of mine who's also been through family law. I'm not going to say their names out of respect for them. But I can't rationalize for the life of me how any person could come to the conclusion that the state knows better for the average American citizen. There are practices in place that say that the state must, to infringe upon parenting time. It'll be worded slightly different depending on your state, but that the state bears the burden of finding you to be unfit. Instead of finding you to be unfit because it's too high of an evidentiary standard for the state, instead what they will do, because that exhausts state resources, what they would rather do is use temporary orders and high conflict, long-term litigation to gradually milk you of all of your resources and your livelihood. Because then you're waking up every day, you're going to work knowing you're making money to give to an attorney who's going to lie to your face, we got an update. Ruth Ann Parks was with us last night. An amazing conversation. I had a sidetrack when I saw her comment. So Ruth is a non-custodial mother, had 9 children with a man. They divorced. She remarried. She shared with us last night a remarkable story of how she's fighting for her ex-husband and the illegal and fraudulent collection and arrearages that they assigned to him in back child support when there was none owed. This woman is a testament that there are good people out there that will do the right thing. And she came on the show and shared with us how incredibly difficult it has been for her to do that. She would be the quintessential, stereotypical mom that the state had ordered her ex-husband to pay $1,400 and was taking $1,400 of child support and giving to her. They had already came to an agreement. You see? And the state interjects its opinion and exercises and shows Ruth and her ex-husband that nope, you can't work out an agreement between you two. You're not intelligent enough. We, the state, knows what's in the best interest of your children, and we're going to take $1,400 from your ex-husband and give it to you. And ma'am, you should be completely happy with this prize that you've won, because along with that, you win a lifetime supply of sympathy from the entire American people that we have duped into believing that men are deadbeats, while we elevate child support orders that are far beyond any person's reasonable expectation or ability to provide, so that we can incarcerate them into dun, 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 debtors' prisons, where you have no right to an attorney, no right to a trial by jury, and where they'll prop up a kangaroo court to haul you in and handcuff you and haul you right on out of there and slam you in the fucking stink while your child support continues to rack up along with interest. Dear old dad, that's where you get to go. And Ruth Ann called out the bullshit and said it's bullshit. But look, she has the ultimate result. She has to file an arrearage forgiveness affidavit and testify for the third time, the third fucking time, that her children's father does not owe back child support. Holy shit. For the third fucking time. I want you to just digest the magnitude of what she just said. And she is not an anecdotal case, folks. It's fucking everywhere. It's pervasive. It's everywhere. And I'm like mad with it. So I'm like, oh my God, this is happening in my country. How? We'll celebrate that success. What an amazing story she shared. And men, damn it, it is women like Ruth Ann, which is why I tell you, stop fucking beating up women verbally as though the entire sex of females in this country are to blame for our problems. Because in large part, it's shitbird males, beta males like Judge Joseph P. I think P stands for pussy. Joseph the Pussy Salvi. And if you need a disclaimer by now that this show isn't for kids, I don't know what to tell you. But we let men like him rule over us and white knight. That guy's got serious mental fucking problems. The mental problems that I have, well, they're pretty evident, right? The depression, the anxiety, the stress, everything that I have to deal with. I've got post-traumatic stress, but it was caused by the courts. It wasn't caused by fucking combat. It wasn't caused by war. I did 20 years in the military. I didn't get post-traumatic stress. I've never been diagnosed with it. But if you ever had your kids kidnapped, it's pretty fucking traumatic. Yeah. What else would you call it? You don't get your kids kidnapped by the state and have a fucking party. You get pretty angry about it. Right? You're pretty angry about it. But they want to tell you to shut your mouth. You can't talk about it. Don't discuss it with your kids. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. Nope. If the 5 o'clock news is playing and I'm sitting down watching the news and my child's sitting there and he sees, I don't know, he sees his Aunt Liz is on the news and she committed a crime. And I got to tell my child, yep, your Aunt Liz committed a crime. This is a hypothetical. She committed a crime and now she's got to do the time. She's going to have to go off to jail. She hurt somebody, right? Whatever. We don't shield our kids from that. They want you to shield your children from the truth because then they will understand at a far earlier age about how they deprived you of your right and your access to your child so they could make money on your kids and you fighting. Think about how inhumane that is. That you have to slave and toil thousands and thousands of hours in a year to pay an attorney to fight for your very rights to be a fucking father or a mother. you'll go all the way. And that's what they know. They weaponize that knowledge. They capitalize on that, Tammy. They know you will go to the ends of the earth to fight for your kids. They understand the psychology enough to know that what they do to us hurts us in a very real way, and we'll keep coming back. We'll keep coming back. We'll keep coming back. We'll keep following up with that attorney. We'll keep making phone calls. And all the while, we're driving up the revenue. Every time we call those motherfuckers, every time we email those motherfuckers, every time we go to court with those motherfuckers, and they sit there on their hands, sit there on their fucking hands, their pedophile loving, defending hands. And they'll drag you along and take every penny you've ever made. And you're going to sit there and take it. Shame on you men who say just pay your child support because you did it. Shame on you. If you legitimately couldn't be there to help raise your kids because you were like me, I was in the military, or you were like somebody else, and for whatever your life circumstances, you could not be there to help raise your kids. I made a choice to stay in the military and gladly paid child support on my older son. Gladly paid it. Had no problem with it. His mother didn't prevent any access. We did have a lot of issues that went unresolved. But she did a good job of raising our son. And I contributed by paying child support and being there for him and having an open door policy with my son and allowing him to choose when he wanted to come see his dad. Right? But for those of you who are just eating that shit sandwich and you're paying your child support to go along, to get along, and you don't want equal custody of your kids, you're not even asking for it, you haven't even tried in any capacity, you're perpetuating and funding the terrorism against us. The more money you pump into these attorneys, you're funding the war against the people. We have to entirely divest from law, entirely divest from these motherfuckers. They are leeches on society. Not all of them. There are good attorneys like Ted Bush, Connie Reguli, Melissa Isaac, Blair Dunn, Stephen Johnson, Carson Tucker. Good attorneys doing solid work, fighting the good fight, fighting their own fights many times. And they will cannibalize every attorney that attempts to fight back against the state and actually reform the laws. They'll cannibalize them. They'll eat them up. It's everywhere. This is pervasive. Think about it. Push the father out of the picture. It sets the stage for the single mom with the kids. This is definitely prevalent within the Black community. Definitely prevalent. More so where you find higher rates of poverty. This is being streamed to my public Facebook page, the Veteran Liberty Network Facebook page, the Restoring Freedom page, the Restoring Freedom group. It's being streamed to Periscope and YouTube. I don't know. I might have some setting off on the YouTube channel. I renamed it. It was Beyond These Walls. We redesigned and remarketed the show, right, to call it War is Hell, because it is. That's what we're in. We're in a fucking war. Those are the platforms, though. Bring me back. I went off topic there for a moment. I got a pit bull down here yelling at me, and I got distracted with Sean. Fucking autocorrect gets me every time too, buddy. Don't worry about it. It's time for the rise of the serfs, the working class, the men and women of this country to come together and fix these problems. But we got to get to us first, me and you. We got to get to the heart of the problem. This morning was on the show, two guys from England on the show. Went international in 4 days, or in 4 episodes. I think that's a big deal. A couple of which were censored off because we played unauthorized and unlicensed music that we didn't have the rights to. So my shit was blocked in 259 locations, I think is what they told me. And I like this guy. Eric Rios. Thanks for joining us, bud. I don't think you've been with us before because I don't recognize your name. So allow me to introduce myself to you. My name is Cash Jacks. I'm a retired Navy veteran. I'm a citizen journalist. We're having an open working man's discussion about, well, blue on black, police versus the black community, and whether or not that war is being waged. And is that a design, a creation to have? And is it really a blue on black? Or is it the state and state policies versus the people, all the people, not just blacks? I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for him the first time. I didn't vote for him the second time. So we're not talking about Trump. See, you came in and interjected Trump when nobody was discussing it. And this is part of the problem. And I'm going to pick on you, right? And if you got sensitive skin, you're in the wrong place, my friend. Okay? If you're sensitive about anything I'm about to say, you're in the wrong fucking place. Number one, if you come into a conversation, make sure you understand what the conversation's about before you open your mouth. Because you displayed right out the gate, you didn't do that because nobody was talking about Trump. Likelihood of you being just a troll and you're not even a real account. That's probably likely too. I would imagine somebody's checking you out right now to verify for me whether or not you have a real profile or a fake profile. You got a fake profile? You could be some commie fuck. Hey, I'm on the phone. Don't get nasty with me. But if you're not, we want you to be a part of the conversation. Do you need to go outside? Do you need a 2-minute pump and dump? Tell them. You need a 2-minute pump and dump? What? Well, tell them. Not me. Tell them. That's Macy. Macy's a puppy that I'm helping my mother with. Very young, energetic, outgoing, bullheaded terrier of some kind. I think she's a pit bull. Tammy says, I got to stop saying pump and dump. It's like some sexual reference. I guess that it is. In the military, in the Navy, whenever we were training our recruits, and whenever I trained the future drill instructors or recruit division commanders, as they're known, we would tell them, like if we went to PT, right, we're working out, and we were taking a quick break, we tell them, okay, you got 2 minutes to pump and dump. Go take a piss, go take a crap, and get back here. 2-minute pump and dump, go. Not enough time to do really anything. Stocks or sex? Go look it up. Maybe I will. Maybe I will check this out. Macy! I did serve, right? I did, and I appreciate that, Alton. And I try and be very real with people about the fact that while in the military, we weren't taught to defend the Constitution. Never spent any time in the military outside of my own doing. I'm going to yell at my mother. Mama! Working men and women. I'm down visiting my mother and helping my brother. I'm I'm hanging out in her kitchen right now. I'm a guest. But yeah, in that service, we didn't do that. And I work now as a citizen journalist. Prior politician, I ran for office in 2018 as a libertarian, right? I believe in keeping government out of our lives, and as do most people here that join me. So hopefully people like our friend up there that said, Eric, before Eric chimed in about Trump losing, okay, if he would take 2 seconds and do what we should do as adults and take a moment to just sit down, pull up a chair, find out what the conversation's about, and maybe ask some private questions, right? There's private chats. You guys can join the stream. You go over to Patreon. Okay, our Patreon members are going to be able to join the stream. This content's all going to shift over there. Where people are investing in this type of journalism and what we're doing, that it's important enough to you, it's all going to shift over there. And especially the more, the deeper personalization about who I am as a man and what I'm doing when I'm not sitting in front of this computer talking to you. You guys have some awesome points, man. Y'all really do. Newton Jamal, you're gonna have to come on the show here one day. But yeah, it's going to come to the point where within my Patreon, the people that come onto the show are the people that are, yes, contributing to the show. Is that pay to play? No, it's not. It is helping to build the network that you want to participate in, right? For people that I bring onto the show that want to have these types of discussions like every day, I want you to have these everyday discussions with me, right? But it's taken myself and others a lot of time and energy to create the platforms to learn these issues to the degree that we know them, right? Being in family law, I bring in like police officers. This morning I brought in my buddy Mike Gilligan out of New York, 24-year NYPD, right? Raped in family law, destroyed, cast aside, shit on. Definitely, Katie. Katie's definitely welcome on the show. Absolutely. You sure are. We're going to get all this together. This is a growth in process, so you're going to bear with me. I'm going to ask that you bear with me as we piece it all together and we build out our branding. You're going to be a part of that. Katie is going to be a part of that. She's contributing to that. That's correct. Everybody thinks that you automatically support the right because, especially as a white man veteran, you're just directly stereotyped into, oh, you support the Republican Party and you voted for Donald Trump. Ha ha, fuck you. Oh my God, what we have reduced the intellectual level down for the average American voter is beyond comprehension. This is what you're helping to pay for, not just family law, but all of the state overreach into our individual liberties. Not just the destruction of something, but the production of something. We're going to build, right? The premise of us coming together to form a network, it's called the Veteran Liberty Network, so that we can bring ourselves together. We bring ourselves together and we pull our resources, we bring it all in, right? We unite. And it's working men and women that will do that. Because I can go up in South Chicago and sit down and have dinner with somebody, right? I don't care. I'm not afraid. I don't need some armed entourage like the billionaire J.B. Pritzker does. Go back and look on my fucking public page on Facebook back in 2018. You can go back there and find posts and videos of me in South Chicago by myself. Doing things on my own down there. Meeting people, networking. Boom. My man. VIP level's $25 a month. You saw earlier, some of you that have been with me for the full 2 hours I've been on here, all of the messages that I was scrolling through and showing you. I make an effort to answer every single message. You saw how many those were. I will never make the amount of money. I take that back. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll become a millionaire doing this. And who would be angry at me for going from where I grew up and what my family lives like here currently still? Why would anybody be upset that I made millions of dollars bringing down shitty state domestic policy and innovating the free market idea of having discussions through the working class and developing and creating out brand new platforms for us to merge our issues across political lines, tabletop those, find the solutions, and work to implement those solutions together, or get out of office any dirtbag or shitbirds that don't want to play ball. We're going to get our own studio. I want my own studio. I want my own brick and mortar studio. I want a place where I can go and hang out and I can drink coffee. And I can do this all day. I could bring guests on all day, every day. Bring guests into town, have them on the show, put them up somewhere. You want to be a guest on the show? Be a Patreon member. Contribute to something you clearly have interest in. I mean, if you've got interest in the platform and what we're talking about and how we're doing this and the direction it's going, especially if you sat around for 2 hours, right? Especially if you sat around for 2 fucking hours. If you made minimum wage, it's probably about $8 wherever you're at, roughly. I think the national minimum wage is still, what, $7.25? Am I wrong? And you sat around, right? That's 2 hours. That's 2 hours of your job, your life. Okay, that's $16. What we're discussing is important enough that through this network, through the mentoring and discovery of other people's knowledge and talents and backgrounds, you're not just going to get me talking. You're going to get access to people that have the experience that we're all looking for to unite us on a global level. Global level. It's not just going to be a media network. We plan on bringing in veterans, training veterans into media. Training up new field reporters, developing studios and correspondents, driving this type of journalism and these types of conversations, build more of these shows. We need it. Bring it all together. We'll populate it on the Veteran Liberty Network. We'll all make lots of money together and grow together. What's wrong with that? You'll invest in like a 401k. You don't know what anybody's doing with that, right? And you put money, you just mindlessly dump money into 401ks. Okay. You'll spend money on all kinds of meaningless, useless shit. We do. Let's be honest. We're very consumer driven, right? I've been through about 15 phones because I'm really rough on them, and I always buy the low end ones because I would just be sick to my stomach if I destroyed or broke a really expensive one that I can't afford anyway. We need to go on big screens everywhere. Everywhere. And I've got an idea for this. Okay, I've got an idea. Is that from a journalist perspective, let's say I've got 3 of you, right? 3 of you, you say, you know what? Let's say Newton Jamal here goes, you know what? I'm all in on this on what Cash is doing here. I like where he's going. I want to be a part of it. He goes and signs up as a premium member. It's $25 a month. Newton Jamal then becomes one of my citizen journalists. He's got news he wants to report from his area. He's got direct access to me to be able to bring that information here, and we get it up on a platform. Maybe Newton Jamal becomes his own content creator, and we create content alongside one another, and he grows his own platform alongside me. And he has access to my network, the people that I know that can help train him and aid him in developing his own content. Mother, that's all up on my, I can hear that down here. I got to get out of her house. I got to leave her house. She wants her house back, and I don't blame her. I kind of take up a lot of space, right? Not just where I'm sitting either. Not even mad at him. Not even mad at him. But look, let's not forget something. Okay? You have the liberty to spend your money where you want. You have the liberty to invest. Right? Where you want. And I'll never diminish a man for knowing his finances and what he's capable of doing, because we're inundated with requests for donations, and it's just never ending. GoFundMe's, it's on and on and on. You're inundated with media and requests, but how much of it is serving the greater good and the cause that you know needs to be done? You got to legitimately ask yourself that. How much of your money is going to support the reform and the change? And the reform necessary for family law is outright abolishment. Normalization of 50-50 equal custody and no child support. Well, who is it? I don't know. I don't see the feds, baby girl. I don't see them. The FBI ain't here, sweetie. I'm sorry. This poor sweet dog, too. Police kick this door in and probably shoot her. Scare the shit out of her. Amazing, beautiful, wonderful animal. Because we send police into places they shouldn't be going into to arrest people and hurt people that didn't hurt anyone. I thank you for what you're able to contribute, Jamal. I appreciate it, man. Not even mad at you, right? And we should never be diminishing one another in the working class for where we're at. We've all got a lot of circumstances going on in our lives, all of us. I contribute financially to other people's platforms. Some people don't even give me the time of day. They don't even acknowledge me, nothing. And I'll donate to their platforms because I don't need it. I appreciate that even if I don't agree with their message or their opinions, I still want to support them in what they're doing. We need that support. It's risky to step out like this. That Second Amendment right, you need that First Amendment right. There's nothing more powerful than your voice. There is nothing more powerful than the human spirit. There is no weapon designed by man that can overpower or overcome the human spirit. And when you hear a message and you believe in a message and you want to contribute to that, it requires sacrifice. But to do so, you need to do so with the peace of mind that your sacrifice isn't being squandered. And maybe it's been for the purpose that I haven't seen my kids because it keeps me motivated. It keeps me fired up. Maybe if I'd gotten my kids right out the gate and gotten equal custody and a fair child support order and got to live my life just normal and go on with my life, I probably would have went on into federal law enforcement and pursued a second career, serving the government, believing I was serving the people, and not. Right there on the bottom, Katie, if you look on the bottom of the screen, there's scrolling. There is a website, patreon.com/Cash Jackson. That's where you find it right there. So thank you for the question. Dude, my family, I've seen some hard things. You know what I mean? I've lived at a time where I remember hardly any food being in the cupboards, hardly any food in the fridge, right? We were content, putting some mustard on some white Wonder Bread, and that might have been a meal for us for that day. All right? My family's had it tough. And a lot of you do. But it's with that knowledge and that understanding of the difficulties that arise out of being a working man and woman in this country that's led to me having a much more in-depth understanding of why the state is functioning the way that it is and how it's functioning the way that it is. And you are intelligent enough to grasp it just as I was. But you got to spend the time learning and discussing and discarding old information when you have new, relevant, factual, more up-to-date information. You have to be willing to go, yeah, I'm not wrong or I'm not correct anymore. It changed. And you need to update your own information and be humble enough to say, yeah, I thought I had it right and I didn't. And you move on. No harms, no foul. I want people to be able to come and join this podcast. Again, I'm looking for this to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not the War is Hell podcast, the Veteran Liberty Network. All right, we've got a website for it. We've just now got a couple guys that are going to start building that out and working on that for us. I've got graphic designers coming in and doing work. We've got musicians coming in, and they're working together so that we can have music for all of us. If you become a creator, a fellow Patreon creator, and you're on the Veteran Liberty Network, you'll get access to all of this brand new music from brand new artists that we're going to be bringing into the fold and having a full media department of musicians. You don't want me to testify down there because what I'm going to testify to is going to take a while. And I'm probably not going to say it how anybody wants to hear it. But if we can make it happen, if somebody got me a plane ticket from Arkansas to Georgia and gave me a place to stay and pick me up at the airport, I would come. I'll wear my fucking uniform. I'll put them on my uniform and my medals. And I'll fly my ass down there and I'll testify in front of your committee in my uniform. And I'll tell them exactly how it is. And I'll take as long as necessary to do that. All right? But I'm only going to do that at the invitation of the good people of Georgia. Right? And if Georgia wants me to come down there and do that, Georgia will make it happen, as will any other state. Right? The days of me destroying all of my property, in pursuit of the reforms, I can't afford it any longer. My truck's got 200,000 miles on it. It's rattling like a son of a bitch, my F-150. Mechanic said it's just my tires, fucking tires on my truck. $1,200. I ain't got $1,200. Shit, it's almost Christmas time. I ain't even got a fucking stimulus check. I don't have $1,200. Yeah, me and you both, brother. Any state, I'll go anywhere. I'll go anywhere. If you want me to put on a suit, I'll put on a suit. I'm going to wear my uniform, I'll put on a uniform. At this juncture, I don't give a shit. Okay? And there's some really good people out there doing great work. And they're going to do it the politically correct way. Okay. You speak for a certain demographic, but I speak for another demographic. All right? A lot of people that don't want to go to the places that we need to go to because they're intimidated and they fear going up there and testifying. They fear being ridiculed. They fear slipping up, saying the wrong thing. They fear getting too emotional because the thought of your children, not seeing your children, is entirely too painful to discuss in a public hearing, in a public committee hearing. And as a grown man, you don't want to melt down into pieces in front of a committee in the public. But I'll fucking do it. I'll melt down. It hurts me to talk about not seeing my kids. It hurts me to talk about my friends that have committed suicide that have been through family law courts. It hurts me to think about all the men and women that I've known over these years that still don't see their kids. That in 2016 told me, Cash, I haven't seen my kids in years. I'm a working man just like you, and this is my job. This is where I make money. This is my living. And it needs to be done. Somebody needs to do it. And I believe that there's a market for it. And I intend on using my money and my time and my resources to destroy that which is destroying our families. And I'm only asking that you join me and help me to do that. And yeah, contribute financially. The larger I grow this platform, the more I magnify this voice, the more I get this shit out there. All of us. The more of you that create platforms, the more of you that come in here and you do your own stuff on TikTok. You got Ryan Powell over at Tough, the unmarried father. A great message and aspect. He comes from a different perspective. That of the unmarried father who inherit their own unique blend of tyranny and discrimination against them. Follow that guy. Help him, support him. Somebody go support him. Yeah. I haven't had a lot of, well, you're correct. So you're probably talking about testifying in front of committee. Yes. Stay on task within a allotted amount of time. Yeah, it's difficult. It is, right? Because you can go down the rabbit hole easy, especially when you start thinking about your personal case. Whew, you'll be distracted for ages. You'll go down through all kinds of rabbit holes because you'll start remembering, oh yeah, and they did this to me, and they did that to me, and they did this to my kids, and they did that to my kids. They violated my due process rights here and my constitutional rights over here. And honestly, the most viewers I've had since they've really been censoring this account has been late night. We had like 70 a couple nights ago. 70. At like midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning. It was late as shit. I stayed up all night. I broadcasted all night long. I wasn't tired. I couldn't get my brain to shut off. It's part of the the issues that arise from the trauma incurred by family court and the never-ending pursuit of how to change that. Yeah. Let's ask the state. Something as simple as adding 3 letters, non-custodial to custodial, can change so much about the dynamic in how a father in this country can raise their kids. My Twitter, I'm still bitter over that. They deleted my Twitter. I had 70-something thousand supporters. This guy Brian grew it for me, and Twitter just chopped us at the knees, no explanation. I got nothing. No emails, no nothing. I've sent 2 emails requesting my account to be reinstated or an explanation as to why they won't reinstate it. And to this date, I've got nothing. See? Another woman testifying on behalf of a father, her brother, that the ex literally kidnapped the kids, took them to another state. He had to hire a private investigator to find her. It took him years of fighting to get his kids from that meth head. My niece ended up in foster care in Oklahoma. She was physically and sexually abused because of this fucked up system. The American government and these policies is how they drive the father out of the picture, in this case, just like this, right? They'll drive the father out because you let an Amber Alert go out. The majority of the time these Amber Alerts go out, I believe they're going out for non-custodial fathers who are tired of not seeing their kids. And they go and take their kids in a rash, heat of the moment, because they're fed up. They're fucking fed up. They just want to see their kids and not be bankrupted along the way. Get rid of the conflict between the parties. The conflict isn't because they can't agree. The conflict is because the state allows for it. They empower the lopsided dynamic of giving full authority in rearing of children into the hands of one person. And typically it's somebody, don't you do it. Stay out of that roast. Do you need to go potty? I think that's what it is. I think Macy's got to go potty. Hold on. Okay, we're gonna go outside. You guys see? Look at her. She's trembling. She's got to go pee. I think. Is that what? Are you trying to get in my lap? Come here. Or you want me to get up? You got to communicate. Speak to me. Speak to me. Speak to me, Macy. Speak to me. What is it? Do we got to go outside? What? Well, come on. Are you going to get in my lap? Come say hi. Everybody wants to see you. I think she's got to go potty. I think she's about to wet her britches and she wants me to take her out. I got to go. It's a furry child. I got to go. I'll tell you what. We're going to end the broadcast because I need to go anyway. I need to get on the road. I got places I got to be. Thanks for tuning in. Please go subscribe over at Patreon. My Patreon there. It's scrolling on the bottom. Patreon.com/Cash Jackson. Would definitely prefer, of course, that you help me out to the maximum extent, whatever that looks like for you. I get it. But again, a lot of this content is going to be moving over there, right? And off of a platform that censors me and is known to fucking, yank our shit. You guys be good. Be safe tonight. Treat each other well. Go out and have some conversations. Have some thought-provoking conversations with people. Subscribe, and share. Help us to grow this. We need artists. We need collaborators. We need other people that have a liberty mind. Don't bring no crazy fascist communist mind, a liberty mind. People down the middle, common sense. Understand about getting government out of our lives and just letting us live. We got an outro. Here she blows.
Action! Shut!